Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We live now, dog. It's already live. It's already started. Here we go. Y'all go ahead and get ready to kick this thing off, man. Let me hear the intro.
Welcome to Coach Hayes Football Live. He can talk about anything from high school to the pros. This guy knows the game, so you better not be half-stepping.
I can guarantee you most of the audience is going to agree with me before they agree with you.
Strap in, because Coach Hayes is about to
crack your cranium and fertilize your brain. Go ahead, right here, right now.
Subscribe now and check out CoachHayesFootball.com.
We here, baby, man. Listen, I got my man V12. I'm going to go ahead and add him here to the stream. I don't know what's going on. Audio is terrible. It's 36 in here. Talk to me, 12.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You choppy, man. Maybe it's me. I'm going to go ahead and give you the broadcast. I'm going to get it up out of here. I'm going to reset it. You got it, dog. Go ahead. Let's get this thing rocking, man. I don't know what's going on. You got it, dog. I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off, bro.
Hey, listen. What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Coach Hayes Football Show. We're not sure what's going on. We apologize to everybody in the chat. We've been having technical difficulties. Y'all know coaches really on time. We've been trying to work out. Can everybody hear me? Hey, LNV, do I have an echo? Because I'm trying to make sure, trying to disseminate to figure out if it's me or coach that's having an echo. I don't hear the echo now, so I think it was actually coach. No echo. Your sound is not. Atlanta Canyon, Victoria, your sound is not RT. Make sure. Y'all bear with us. We're having a little bit of difficulty tonight. I don't know what's going on. You sound good. Okay, thank you, Kay. I appreciate that. Okay, Category 5, appreciate it. So yeah, listen, we on tonight. Hopefully Coach will be back in a second. We on tonight. And look, I'm glad to be back. Coach say, hey, we got a hot topic tonight. And it's about one of our former Hall of Famers, right? Gold jacket, Michael Irvin. And everybody already know it's always us against it's always the you against everybody else. So in case everybody hasn't been caught up or don't know the situation, let me go ahead and give a little backstory. A few weeks ago during the Super Bowl, Michael Irvin was in Phoenix covering the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, early on in the week, Michael Irvin was actually on talking to Travis Kelce, talking to Kelce's mom and everyone else from Kansas City and also everybody from Philadelphia. Apparently one night, thank you, Shad. Apparently one night, he was out and he had, out having a good time. He walks back into the hotel in Phoenix. I believe it's the Renaissance owned by Marriott. And there was an encounter with a female Renaissance employee. At that particular time, no one saw the video. We didn't know what was going on. According to Michael Irvin, it was a brief encounter. Nothing seemed odd. And he went up to his room, and that was it. He said he had a conversation with a hotel employee. They laughed. They shook hands. The whole nine. Nothing seemed amiss. He's awoken in the middle of the night and told he got to dip. Hotel security said, hey, Michael Irvin, you got to go. And he's trying to figure out, like, what happened. Like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to anyone. I went to my room. And Marriott, in turn, also notified NFL Network, who subsequently suspended Michael Irvin. So that's why, if you notice that he was not on the broadcast from midweek on throughout the Super Bowl. Now, Michael Irvin denied these allegations. So apparently a hotel employee said Michael Irvin sexually assaulted her. And that's the reason why they went ahead and removed him from the NFL Network, and also had him shift hotels. Now, Michael Irvin denied all these allegations. As a matter of fact, he emphatically denied allegations, and he lawyered up, and he filed a $100 million lawsuit for defamation of character against Marriott in Texas. Now, there was some legal wrangling going on back and forth with Marriott and his attorneys. It went to court, and the courts ordered Marriott to turn over the surveillance tape of the incident. And they didn't want to turn over initially. The attorneys went and saw the tape. They didn't want to give him a copy of the tape. And then it went back to court, and the court was really pissed off and said, hey, listen, you have to release the tape to the attorney. So that's what happened. And now this is where we are. So the show about tonight is about Michael Irvin and just surrounding the tape and surrounding these clouds of allegations on Michael Irvin and things of that nature. Hopefully Coach comes back in. I got a chance to view the tape in its totality. And to be honest with you, I don't see, there's no audio, so let's be clear, but I don't see any type of inappropriate conduct by Michael Irvin or by the hotel employee. And so this is where we are tonight. Hopefully Coach comes back and we're able to open up the phone line. That's just my perspective. Everyone has seen the tape. People may have seen the tape. Coach is prepared to play the tape. So that's what I think maybe that's probably the issue we may be having with the audio and the video with the tape. We want to hear from some ladies too, because sometimes as a male perspective, we may view things differently. So ladies, if you're out there, we get a chance, call in and let's share your view on the video. And what do you believe was the motive, if anything, behind these allegations against Michael Irvin? Initially, Michael Irvin said, hey, look, it shouldn't have taken all this. I shouldn't have been suspended. I shouldn't have been taken off ESPN. And so the $100 million is to somewhat compensation, because guess what? His image may be irreparably damaged because of something that someone said he did. And like they say, the eye in the sky don't lie. And if it works to convict people, the eye in the sky should work to exonerate people as well. And apparently it looks like that's the situation. Let me go ahead and get some of these comments in here. Unfortunate situation. I read the transcript. What's up, Shad 1419? It was disturbing if Mike actually said those things. Well, Shad, guess what? Let me just say this. We're not saying Mike didn't use inappropriate language. And I think that we have to make two distinctions of what's going on. Sexual assault and using inappropriate language, or sexual harassment, let me clarify. Sexual harassment and using inappropriate language could be two different things. We have to be clear about that. If he said those things. However, we go day to day. People say things to us in passing, men and women we don't agree with, we may not have said to someone else. Does it rise to the claim that someone is harassing you? We have to be fair. We have to be fair to people. And if you said something inappropriate, guess what? That happens. But if you take a look at that tape, Shad, if someone is harassing you, Shad, if you come to me and you cursing me out, you calling me everything but, my name, I have a decision to make. Do I remove myself from the situation, which most people, most reasonable adults will remove themselves from the situation. That's why I'm not really buying what Marriott said. And I think Marriott does have a lot. It needs to be blamed for a lot of this because they put that narrative out there based on what the accuser said. And we don't know if that was said or not. But does that rise to the level of this man's character potentially being defamed? So I hear what you're saying, Shad, but I'm not sure I'm 100% with that. Our brother Jay Blaze, I agree. What's up, brother Jay Blaze? I agree with V12. Justin, yeah. Listen, we have to be able to, we live in a society we want, it's a popcorn society, right? We put popcorn in a minute, 2 minutes, and the popcorn is ready. We have to be able to sometimes sit back and say, listen, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. And we have to be fair to people. And did Michael Irvin admit initially? He said, yeah, I had a couple of drinks. He said that I had a couple of drinks. But he said there was no point in time that I harassed this woman. Okay? Lexus driver. Okay, where's Coach? Hey, listen. Hey, that's how we go to bat for each other. I'm here to hold it down. I think Coach may be having some difficulties. Shad, the video don't look like a person in distress. That's what I'm talking about. Body language, interaction plays a long way. LNV, Lexus, Coach is having problems putting on his skates. That can happen. And unfortunately, everyone, I don't have the call-in information. Coach got everything set up in old time. Larry Young, and every day that he's at work, they need to pay him. Well, listen, I just think, I don't disagree with that, but that's why he's filing that money. I think that's to include lost wages. Because on the flip side, the NFL Network, they had to do their due diligence. Because at that particular point in time, and even in the organizations, if two people are having conflict and alleged harassment going on, you have to remove those people from the situation. And so the NFL Network, I think, out of an abundance of caution, remove Michael Irvin. Now, the hope is that as they go through this tape and they get a chance to see what's going on, they can reinstate Michael Irvin back on the NFL Network and also back on ESPN. But unfortunately, everyone, sometimes it does not happen that way. People just cut ties for no reason at all. I mean, you can take a look at TJ Holmes and the other young lady. At one point, it was all good. It was giggles. Everybody had a good time. The network said they weren't going to be reprimanded. The network said it wasn't a big deal. Then as time went on, they started to hem and haw about their relationship. And eventually, they paid them to not come back to Good Morning America. Let me get some of these. IMAX, Brother Jay, I agree with V12, but I need a public apology on national television. I don't doubt that. And I think that would be too much for Marriott to do. Because here's the thing, people. Marriott has already dug their heels in, and I don't think they did their due diligence, and that's why this lawsuit was filed. James Miles, so do you let somebody know you dig them without getting, so how do you let somebody know you dig? Like, I agree with you. Again, I'm not saying Michael Irvin wasn't there. We don't know what was said. But to say you were harassed, that's a different situation. Now, if the video shows something different, the lady stepped back some, gave her space, gave him a hand, gave him some other kind of gesture, walked away. It wasn't like she was cornered and she could not move. A lot of space around. So ladies, I want the ladies to give me their take on it, because I want to make sure I'm in the middle, but trying to have some context to what's going on. LOL M, how you doing? Hand ping waving. Wow, Coach Hayes turned into a new person. I must be the Budweiser. Hey, listen, Coach, I'm the sidekick. I just sometimes have a good time with Coach. I'm normally on doing football season in the LOM, but I've seen you on a couple of times. So shout out to you. If you have a comment, we want to get the female's perspective on this, because this is a hot topic. Because Michael Irvin feels he related it to lynching, a modern day lynching. Now that's deep. I'm not sure if you guys saw that press conference where he said, hey, look, this is like a modern day lynching, where back in the days, people would say things about men, particularly black men in general, and they were dragged through and they were lynched. So this is a real serious matter. And I think that we need to make sure that we're paying close attention to what's going on. What's up, Brian Sanders? Yo, V12, what's up? V12 is here. Hey, they say I look like I got LOL says she thought I was Coach Hayes, but I look a little different. It's all good. Let's see who
It's
we
all
got here.
good, baby, man.
How you
Can you
feeling,
hear me?
brother? You good? People, IMAX. Shout out to IMAX. People are going to start walking around with hidden cameras. Yeah. Listen, we can't get any justice, right? Like people can just do and say anything, and that's why he filed a lawsuit. I know someone said earlier that he withdrew the lawsuit. He withdrew the lawsuit from Texas, and we filed a lawsuit in Phoenix. So again, Coach, I was telling everybody you're gonna open up the phone line to get people's comments on this. You want to encourage the ladies, coaches back, the ladies to call in, because as guys, we may view it a little differently than the ladies may different. Nah, like I was telling Coach now, even Michael said he had some drinks, and I see Michael Irvin shooting the shot. Now it's G season, I'm gonna keep it real. Coach, no, Michael Irvin, he from the crib. I can see him shooting a shot. Did it go over well? Probably didn't go over well. He came in late night. Huh? I'm Max. Talk to him, man. Jay Blaze. He came in late night, one night in Phoenix. Talk to me, Coach, on a late nighter. And some swing by him. And he shot a shot. Now, am I saying?
No.
I'm not saying
for real.
What he said was
appropriate. No, you're right. No, I'm saying no, you're right, man. I appreciate you, dog, for holding it.
It's love too.
It's all good.
It's sad you can't trust people. This is a hard lesson to learn, but be on guard. Thank you for that comment. It appears from a lady. That's true. But let me ask the lady something. So what are guys supposed to do if you say something and you disagree, and then you accuse someone like this? She didn't accuse him of having a profanity laced. Here's the thing I want people to realize. There are a lot of power in words. Just like when Buddy was in New York, the bird watcher, and what the lady said, an aggressive, black man. So there's power in words, and it's all about love. And I get that. But she said he sexually harassed her. Now she didn't say Michael Irvin came in and cussed at her or said something perverted. She's like, he harassed her. That's a different context. So again, we got to be careful. And like, what do we do? How do you protect yourself? Put that in the chat.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. Shout out to LOLM. I appreciate it again. I did get that PayPal. Thank you so much. I really did appreciate that. But I'm gonna say,
good, Coach. Everything works better now. It's no echo. You sound good. So it was on your end. Great. Yeah. Hey, Coach, try me. Coach, like he on the slick. That's my brother. He tried to say 312. What's wrong with your computer? I said, like I got two computers on. It ain't V12 tonight. Yeah.
Man. Slap that face, man. You even got the first chair, dog. I live my dog. You ride out with this, but listen.
It's okay, but go ahead, Coach.
No, you good. But what I was going to say was, you look at this stuff, it came up, you don't know what's what. They were hesitant with the videotape. I had a videotape queued up. That may have been the issue. But I'm gonna go back. Everything is so touchy now, in life. People can't deal with certain things. And I'm not saying people have to deal with sexual assault. That's the furthest thing what I'm saying. But let's just take the workplace, right? Most people meet their wives or husband, either in college or at a workplace, because you work together, you always together, kind of like that for the most part. And so I say all that to say, people are now even hesitant to even talk to somebody at work because you're thinking they're going to take this to HR. You can't give a compliment, right? And it goes both ways in this sense, right? Women will say things to men, and a man is not going to go run the HR. I guess that's because of the whole bravado, and you don't want to seem weak and so forth and so on. And I remember, I think it was the Baby, one of these rappers talking about running through the crowd. He said, how many times women assault him as he's doing his job and he's doing, he's performing, and so it is a double standard in that sense. Now, I'm not saying because there's no audio, so I don't know what Michael Irvin said or didn't say, but we're going to kind of deconstruct this. And Warren, I see you on the phone line already. I don't even have it up, but if you want to hold on there, you're more than welcome. But it will be a little minute because I do want to kind of walk through this video. Most people saw it. Most people haven't seen it. I got a very clear video of this deal, and I want to kind of go through it simply because body language tells a lot, right? People speak through their body language. And so forth and so on. And unfortunately, this is a he say, she say type deal. Unfortunately, the he say, she say worked against Michael Irvin and nothing with the employee. So if Michael Irvin said something and she went and reported it, right? Who knows what was said? But now look what has happened. If it pertains to be a lie, he's lost his NFL, the Super Bowl announcement, commentator deal. He has not worked since then. You know, Disney owns ESPN, so they're not playing them kind of games. And his livelihood is at stake. And here's what I want a lot of people to understand about people like Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, these guys from the past that were great players. They didn't make a lot of money in the NFL. Remember that. They're not making these Deshaun Watson salaries. They didn't make these multi-million-dollar deals. That's why these guys are still working as hard as they are working. Now, I'm not saying they didn't make any money, but these astronomical salaries and stuff that these guys are making now was not being paid out at that time. So people could say, yo, Michael Irvin got money, but how much does he have? We don't know that. That's why he's working the way he's probably working. And even if he did have a gazillion dollars, you still don't stop a man from earning a living. And again, these allegations get tough, and that's where the problem lies. And my second piece is there's no recourse to the false accuser. They're going to, in this video I have, they blur her face out. Fine, I understand. But when it's all said and done, how is the accused vulnerable, but the accuser is hidden? And that's where I have the problem.
Right. And that's a great point, Coach. It's almost like Michael Irvin has everything to lose and this employee does not. I get an organization trying to protect their employee because I think that that's noble of the organization. But at what particular point in time, and it's all about money, it's all about legal strategy. At what particular point in time do you say, you know what, we were wrong in how we went about doing this, right? Mm-hmm. We were wrong, but instead of doing that, Marriott, somebody said they're about to name it Michael Irvin Renaissance sooner or later, decided not to even play fair. And that's the problem I have. You saw the video of Marriott. Like at what particular point, you could have stopped this early. Say, hey, we kind of jumped the gun. We're not admitting any fault or whatever it may be. Let's work this out.
Right.
Someone else said, well, Michael Irvin should sue ESPN and also NFL Network. But like I said earlier, they have to protect themselves as well. Because what if it is true? They didn't see the video. We didn't see the video. So they have to hedge their bet on, hey, I'd rather have them off and it not be true than to have them on and it be true.
Correct. So let's do this real quick so we can open this up and talk about this. Let me pop this up here right quick. Let me see if I can add this here to the stream. It'll probably drop us down a little bit.
It's sad that as humans, because these incidents keep happening, we may all have to live in a bubble. This individual saw Irvin as a cash app, I like that one, and thought she could make fast money. Yes, I mean, even down to the description where they tried to say, which is interesting, they tried to say Michael Irvin, and guess what? For all you guys who don't know, I'm gonna just say this to you guys. I've worked in the criminal justice realm for a very long time, and there are power, especially legally, in words and how people are descriptive or non-descriptive.
The
So
language.
the first they said language. The first thing they said, Michael Irvin intercepted her. You know why they said that? To show intent.
That's
His
right.
intent was to do something. We got to be smart, people. Talk to 12, not LOM. Have you another Budweiser? It's 12 talking to you. Okay? It's 12. Try to intercept Mike. Then the second, and then toward the end, they say he was leering at her. See, it's all about motive and intent. Well, in fact, guess what happened to the end? Like anything, when men and women flirt, Kyle, Coach, how many times you done holler at somebody and she walk away and you look back, she look at you, and y'all get that eye? Let's keep it like hey, we all adults here. It's after 8 o'clock. We all adults. You look back and everybody give you a little eye. But they say, oh, Michael Irvin was leering at her. We have to be careful, folks. Go ahead, Coach.
So let's talk about this. Let's go ahead and pop the video up here. I'm going to put it up here. All right. Got all kind of stuff going on here. But anyway, I'm going to skip through a little bit. As you see, I don't know if you guys see my mouse up here, but that's him out there taking pictures. People have described this. If you saw the video with his lawyers, they kind of walked through it as well. But if you didn't, hey, we're going to do it for you here as well. But this is interesting. So he's coming into the hotel lobby, and you're going to see something. And this is where I want to talk about. I just want to go through this and kind of talk over it while it's going. And I cut down some of the foolishness out of it. But you're going to see her come in from the bottom left corner where we are. And they're going to blur her face out and so forth. And I understand that. But Michael Irvin is up at the top, up there at the doors in the entrance. But as you watch this, let's look at the body language. For example, and there's a piece that the lawyers brought up that was very big. This is why they get paid big bucks. They don't look, it's like football play. They don't look at the ball. They're looking at the play going around the ball. Now, this is her walking in right here at the bottom. She's blurred out. They got it grayed out or whatever. And I think it's a great quality tape. It's Michael Irvin here coming up at the top. You'll see they're going to blur him out. This is kind of where they meet, all right? But this is important. He's walking in. I guess he was taking pictures and so forth and so on. But here's where they meet. She walked a loop right there. And I think Michael Irvin saw her and he said something to her because she stopped.
Correct.
You look at it, he's looking in her direction.
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped, and you can't see behind the pole, but she comes and steps, and they're talking. Now, I don't see anything like, because you have to remember here, is what we see, but it's also, like you just said, how the Marriott lawyers painted it in words. So if you read the transcript and don't look at the video, it's kind of deceiving.
Very deceiving. I agree with
Very
that.
deceiving. Okay. Basic conversation. And she's standing like an employee. They usually stand with their hands. They're taught that kind of stuff. Uh-huh. Keep your hands here, head gestures, so forth. Like a typical conversation. No big deal. Right? Now, some people in there talking, they are touchy-feely. So he touches her on one shoulder, and then I guess she says a joke, and he kind of touches her on the shoulder with the other hand. And he's doing the majority of the talking, as you can see. But here's what's important. I want to stop this. This guy right here, this is where the lawyers brought up about this manager. I want to go back just a little bit to show you something. So this manager is going to come into play right here. So at one point, I don't know if they were supposed to meet up and talk or do something work-related, but as soon as she leaves Michael Irvin, she goes straight to him, and then they walk away. So again, I don't know what her role is at the hotel. Apparently he's dressed kind of like a manager with the vest and so forth. But when I look at him, he's waiting on her. He's sitting there waiting on her, and that's him right up here by that lamp up here. He's continuing to wait. They're talking. What's important about this is, I don't know if they had a time crunch. They had something to do. That's why he called her over. I don't know. But anyhow, Michael Irvin met the young lady he's talking to. Now, do I agree with you, 12? He's shooting his shot. He probably making some small talk, saying something. And you see the manager up there, he's kind of waiting, kind of just pacing around like, come on, man. We got stuff to do, Sally. But watch her hand gesture. He's going to say something to her. She's going to put up both hands like, nah, like I'm good. Something like that. I don't know. He may have invited her to dinner. May have invited her to a drink. And you notice what she did. She put her hands behind her back. See, they're taught these kind of things. People don't realize that, oh, shoot. Hayes, I suck. I got all type of crap going on. Anyway, I pressed the wrong button. Let me bring this up. Let me get this back up. Hold on. Now, cane juice be biting, y'all.
I saw some people in the other
I'm gonna get it back to that part. I pressed the wrong
trying to say Michael was trying to smash. That could be a possibility, but we will all assume until we know that each of them said to each other. Yeah, I mean, I don't dispute that there was that he was trying to holler. But at what particular point does that become harassment? I think that's my argument. At what point does it become harassment? It's unwanted,
right?
From what I understand, interaction, words. If that's the case, to me, Coach, when we talk about unwanted, you're engaging, you're freely engaging in a conversation. So if it was unwanted, she could have stepped back way more, and she could have easily just walked away and then said, "Hey," right. Or given some different gestures to kind of explain or gesture to Mike that what you're saying to me is unwanted. Go ahead, Coach.
All right, so here it is. Here's what I want to talk about. So she's talking, and she's talking with her hands. She puts her hands up. I'm not a body language guru here. She puts her hands up right there. As he says something, she kind of puts her hands up, and he kind of laughs it off. But she know what she did. She put her hands behind her back.
Behind her back, correct.
Right. And then see right there, she kind of waves him off.
Mm-hmm.
He must have said something. She was like, "Nah, I'm good." Like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Right.
And went on, no big deal. Whatever said is said. And they continue on. But then they extend hand, they shake hands, and they walk off. All right. Now you're going to see these two guys right here. I can tell you exactly who they are. These guys want an autograph. These guys want a picture. You see guys like this all the time when you're around people who are famous, when you're around people who are celebrities, people always want a picture, right? And so you'll see them lurking all the time. They're waiting for their moment to go in and ask, V12, do you mind if I get a picture for my son? Do you mind if I yada, yada, yada. And so these two gentlemen, this guy in the black is going to whisper something in his ear like, "Hey, that's Michael Irvin." You see that all the time when you deal with sport. See, watch. "Hey, that's Michael Irvin, right?" And he kind of laughs like, "Yeah, bro, I know." But see how they're going to linger around and they're waiting to shoot their shot for Now, here's something important Michael Irvin does. He's going to slap himself in the mouth twice. And that right there says something. Like, yeah, I may not have said what I should have said. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just talking. But you see up here in the top, she and the manager, they get together and then they head on wherever they were going. So he's kind of like, "Hey, man, we ain't got time for this foolishness." He's looking back. And watch him slap himself in the face. Like, "Oh, man." And he mentioned this about the picture. He said, "Hey, guy," I guess the guy asked for a picture, and he says, "Let's not do it in front of the bar because it sets a bad image." So that's why they kind of walked over to the opening of the hotel. I brought that up to say, see, now they take the picture or whatever the case may be right there because he didn't want to have a bar in the background, ESPN or whatever. He knows what the deals are. And then the video plays on. He shows him where the elevator is. He goes on about his night. But it's important. Context matters. I always say that. Context matters. I'll go back to our cut. And that's where I believe the problem is, Twill, that a lot of people take the first word and it becomes the gospel. And unfortunately, this is a he say, she say, like I said earlier. But he's the one that has everything to lose. You know, he has everything to lose. And I say that to say all this. What do people do when you do want to engage and talk to people and say something, especially from a celebrity status? Especially from a celebrity status. You know what I'm saying? Everything can be misconstrued into he tried to holler at me, he tried to do this, and we see it time after time after time after time after time after time after time. I just simply I wanted to play that video for people who didn't watch it. You could definitely Google it, and they'll show you the whole video. I got that off of Dallas website or something like that. Shout out to them. What's your last thoughts? We're gonna open up the phone line. Let's hear the people talk.
Yeah. My thing is like, look, we're all adults, and attractive men, people attracted to people who may shoot their shot, they're attracted to someone, whoever it may be, man, woman, however it goes. And did Michael Irvin probably shoot a shot at this lady? I'm not going to say Michael Irvin probably didn't do that, but does it rise to the level of sexual harassment? And I think that's the key issue here. That's the key issue here, because we're all protected by freedom of speech. So because I cuss you out, Coach, that don't mean, I can cuss you out. That doesn't, I'm not guilty of anything. That I'm just cussing you out. And now if you're going to stand there and let me cuss you out, that's on you. You see what I mean? So we have to be able to, break down and dissect what we're talking about. We're talking about harassment. And here's what I don't want to happen, because I understand and I appreciate the movement and I support the ladies 100%. If there's something that's amiss, if you're being sexually assaulted, you're being sexually harassed, absolutely. Go to the appropriate authorities, go to management. I support you 100%, but we have to be careful of how we're phrasing some of these things, because again, could you imagine if Michael Irvin did not have this tape? That's the key. And that's what made me shake my head. They wouldn't have given him the benefit of a doubt. And particularly because he's Michael Irvin, number one, and he's had some allegations in the past. Now, I'm not saying things happened, but he has some allegations. So sometimes your past sometimes set the precedent for people to kind of say things about you this way. But again, we have to be careful when we're saying someone sexually harassed me.
Yeah, real quick. Prince Wade says, man, you guys are reaching. Please call in. Like I said, man, we're not here. Listen, one thing about this channel, I'm going to be very honest. We love opposing viewpoints, because that's why it's called a Coach Me Coach podcast. I can coach you, 12 can coach you. I can coach 12, 12 can coach me, and you can coach us. It's okay. Listen, I'm like Master P, bro. I ain't starting no beef on my record. I ain't rapping about nobody on my record. What I mean is we can talk like men, we can discuss, or women, and we can discuss different viewpoints. We don't even curse on the show, so they gonna be like, man, F that, you crazy. No, we just want to hear what people have to say. So when people leave comments like that, I actually encourage that. If you feel strongly that way, but change our mind maybe, or show us a different light from what you may understand. So that's why I say all that. Real quick, before I did that, I did put up here a great comment, and it talked about how can men approach women in modern time. Doggone it, I missed it. This thing been moving so fast. You gotta leave them great comments. Anyway, I can't find where it was, but anyway, they said, how do men approach women today in modern times? I'm not sure. I really don't know. I'm not sure. I have not a clue in that sense, because it's difficult. You know what I mean? It's difficult. And I don't think most, I would just say average or regular men, but we talk about from the celebrity standpoint and so forth and so on. And I'm not saying these celebrities don't come with a little extra, because look here, bro, I'm Ja Morant, or I'm such and such or such and such. They're young, they're not married, they got money, they got power, they got fame. But what does that look like? Real quick before we move on, let me give a quick look.
LMV, I agree. Ellen saying, I'm not saying he's guilty, but sexual assault is not only physical, it can be verbal too. That's a great point. And I'm with you 100%. What I want to caution is that we have to understand there's a I think it has to be a threshold to where we can call it assault or harassment. You just can't say, hey, because there has to be some kind of threshold there. So I'm with you, Ellen V. I agree with you 100%. That's facts right there. I agree with you. But there has to be a threshold when we talk about harassment, and whatever that may be, we have to try to figure what it is, either by law, because at the end of the day, here's what's interesting, Ellen V. It's not a criminal case. You see? It's not a criminal case. So we got to figure out what we're saying here, right? It's not a criminal case we're dealing with. There's no police report file. So we have to be, and that's a telltale sign sometimes on when things are happening. So I agree with you, but we have to be cautious when we get into situations like this to not be so quick to label. Yeah. Does he have could he have been profoundly laced? Yeah. And again, if she told him stop and she walks away and he then continues to try to engage with her, I think there has to be a nexus to that harassment or assault. That's all I'm saying. Good point, Ellen. Thank you.
Yeah, correct. Do this real quick. Big shout out to Cecil for the dono right there on Cash App. Thank you so much, man. Y'all clap it up for Cecil in the building. Listen, man, y'all clap it up for the $50, man. Come on. I really appreciate that, Cecil. Thank you so much. It's definitely gonna help this channel grow. And anything you guys do, we appreciate you. Also do it, like I say, Cash App. You can do a super chat, so forth and so on. Help me fill up my cup a little bit. We got a lot going on. But anyway, let me go ahead and get to this part. Let me open up the phone lines. I'll have the number scrolling here at the bottom, as well as I'll put it up here on the deal as well. The new number is 862-799-9956. You're more than welcome to call in. You'll go into a queue. I will give you the last 4 digits of your number when I get ready to come to you. So make sure you prepare also, and we'll go through that. We're not going to worry about landing any planes. I had to take some of that stuff off right quick just because of some audio stuff. But let's try to keep it to a minimum if we got a lot of people in the thing, and I'll kind of wrap that up. All right. So as we wait for calls to come in, you're right, man. It's a tough situation.
Do you think NFL Network? So cool. My question: do you think that this has been a big topic as well? When we talk about due process, what are your thoughts on how NFL Network handled it and how the ESPN has handled this matter since it's happened? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they've been very quiet, right? I've been looking to see if they had anything to say, and they have been super quiet. I'm coming to you right quick, Warren. Give me 1 second. Let me finish this last point. They've been very quiet, and I have to say this, rightfully so. They were not there. Now, the reason they got involved, because that probably was one of the host hotels for the event. This happened a couple of days prior, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days within the week prior. Wasn't like the night before. Excuse me. And for anybody that's been to a Super Bowl, it's pretty much a week-long party. And they have a bunch of things, radio stuff and blah, blah, blah. But anyhow, I say that to say this. They have been quiet, and you made a great point. They had to hedge their bet because it's better to not have him on and be innocent than to have him on and be guilty, and there's going to be a problem. Here's what I ask of ESPN and NFL Network. Not necessarily how they handle this, but how do they handle him going forward? Will he have a job? Because here's one thing. He now becomes a distraction. Whether he's innocent or not, whether they come out and Marriott settles for $100 million, $50 million, $2 million, $1, he is now a distraction next time his face comes on on a broadcast for their network. Because everybody is going to say, well, what about this? What about that? And that's where I think the bigger question is, how does ESPN and the parent company Disney handle Michael Irvin going forward with his employment? Because he has not worked since that deal. But I hopefully I answered that. Let me go ahead and get Warren on the line and get his points. Warren, talk to us, baby. You're live.
All right. I don't know if it's my phone or your connection or whatever, but there seems to be static and I don't know if I'm coming in staticky or not. So I hope not.
You got static. You sound good to me.
Listen.
How does he sound, 12?
He sounds great.
All right, go for it. You sound great.
All right. It must be my phone. Anyways, I think he's going to win in the court of public opinion because it's hard to conflate sexual harassment with sexual assault. I understand there's a difference, and I'm not a woman. I'm not saying that I've been subject to any of that, but I mean, just being a human being, you see what you see. Listen, maybe he was flirting with her or hitting on her, but is the charge sexual assault? Is that correct?
12. Did you read on that? I don't know I don't know if it was sexual assault or not.
I thought it was harassment. So from my understanding, I thought it was some harassment. I guess that's how it was characterized. That from what I read.
Well, I was going to say, because if it was sexual assault, there's no way that would win in the court of law. I mean, there's no way. Now, sexual harassment, maybe she felt harassed, whatever. I don't know. That's going to be he said, she said. He's going to have a tougher case. But the $100 million, I mean, he's never going to get that. Never. Just that ain't going to happen. There's just no way that ain't going to happen. But the thing that bothers me most, and this is probably going to be a source of contention, and I'm not here to, well, let the cards fall where they may. I'm neither a black man nor have I ever been lynched, but him comparing this to a modern day lynching, it minimizes the brutality of what he's talking about. And kind of like B was saying about extrapolating one thing into another, you can't do that. Well, this is the same thing. There's a reason why a lynching they've done away with that. Now they happen, I guess, randomly, but it doesn't happen on a regular basis like it used to. So maybe it was a public embarrassment that he suffered, and I certainly understand that, and defamation of character, but I don't know that I would say that was a lynching, because somebody was in fear for their life in a lynching. He is in no way in fear for his life. Now his livelihood, but he's not actually fearing for his life. So I disagree with that statement. I'm not saying he doesn't have cause for being pissy about it, but I think that was just a tad of a stretch on his part. So
12, real quick, I want you to respond. We got some more callers in 1639. Don't hang up. But 12, what's your response to Warren in that piece? I want to say something, but go ahead. What's your response to, if you have one, to what he said in regard to that comparison?
So Warren, it's always nice to hear your voice. B12 here. Can't wait till the season starts. I think, I hear what you're saying. I think what Mike was really trying to get at from a historical perspective was that I'm not sure if you're familiar with I get what you're saying. It's not a lynching. I get what you're saying. But what he's trying to get at from a historical perspective was that I'm not sure if you're familiar with Emmett Till. And so I'm going to give you a little historical basis of that. So Emmett Till was murdered by a mob, and he was accused of whistling at a white woman, and that never happened. So I know Michael Irvin. If you know the playmaker, right?
Rationale, I do. I just disagree with his choice of words.
I know. Let me get there. When I'm going to say, and I'm going to get there. If you know Michael Irvin, you know he's boisterous. He's going to give you some shock value. So I do hear what you're saying, but he's just trying to give some historical basis as to how many times, not only Emmett Till, through history, that things like this has gone on. And if it wasn't for videotape, he would have probably been up a creek, like they say, with no paddle. So I get what you're saying. He was extreme with it, but I think he was calculated because he wanted to get the attention. He also had a historical basis for making that comment.
I totally agree. I'm gonna say this real quick. One, we got a lot of other people calling in, they're jumping in now, but I will say this in response. I do totally understand where you're coming from, but however, he had to paint a more powerful picture because he had to combat the words that was used against him through the Marriott attorneys. And he wanted to paint that picture. And you have to remember, he wants to paint that picture. And I have to say this, strategically, they're doing it right. You want to paint that picture because, to V12's point, is listen, bro, without videotape, we would have thought he grabbed her up in the lot. When I first heard it, I'm thinking it's something that happened in the hotel room. The way it went all over the place. Then I thought he had her pinned up in against the corner, because your mind runs rampant until you find out what's what. And so now when people see this video, it's like not what the words were painted out to be on their behalf from the Marriott. So he had to combat those words with these words. And I understand exactly what you mean. I do. I totally understand. Like I said, that man was not in fear for his life, so forth and so on. But he made me feel like he's fighting for his life, because if this was to come true, he's done. And I don't know his financial situation.
I understand. I certainly understand that. Hence, but that's why I let everything off. He's going to win in the court of public opinion. There's no way. I mean, if you love him or hate him, you can't deny what your eyes are telling you. There was no way he was. I don't know. I'm sorry. That does not look like harassment.
I got you. Well, Warren, I appreciate it. I got to run. I got to get these other people in. They've been waiting pretty. But Warren, man, thank you, man. You know you're a big supporter.
Good talk to you, gentlemen. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Appreciate your point, man. All right, real quick before we go.
Thank you for your
quick before we to our next caller. I'm coming to 1639 right now, but I want to give a shout out to Adono that we have PayPal. Big shout out. Thank you so much. LOLM for the 50 piece. Y'all clap it up for LOLM for the 50 piece. I saw it come through on here. I'm working on trying to get PayPal so I can put it on the screen, but they give out so much information on there. I don't want to put people's information on that screen. Also, a big shout out right now to also Brother Jay Blaze for the dub sack. Brother Jay Blaze for the dub. Y'all clap it up for Blaze. Round here between Normandy and West Side, they call that a little twin. Brother Jay Blaze. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. All right, let me get to 1639. Caller, you are live. Give us your name and let us know your thoughts on the Michael Irvin situation.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you, man. And good to hear your voice. B12, what's up, my man?
What's going on?
What's your name?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm going to make this real quick, okay? I'm sitting here watching your show, and I love your show. You know, I just can't get enough of this. But, you know, I'm really thankful that you showed the video. And looking at the video,
did we lose you?
No. I didn't know if you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes,
one thing you can't do is don't try. Hey, listen, hold on. Don't try to watch your TV and talk. It's a 10-second delay, so you're gonna be all messed up. So just listen to the phone. Cut the TV down and just listen on the phone. But go for it.
Okay. Listen. Thanks again. Hey, thanks for that video, because you hear different things, and looking at this video right here, man, it looks like, my God, looking at it when somebody's telling you what happened. And, for something so simple, looking at the video, the young lady she could walk through the restaurant instead of around the restaurant, first of all. Mm-hmm. And Michael Irvin did approach her, stopped her. She turned around and she came back. And looking at it, he's talking. He looks like he's, had one or two drinks. It looks like he's a little excited. But there's nothing to say, well, he sex harassed me. He did touch her, just being friendly in a nice conversation. She did stand there and conversate with him for all about that 5 minutes. She had a chance to walk away. She did put her hands behind her back. Yeah, we saw that. But my God, anybody can walk by somebody and say some things. I can see he bumped her. He tried to hug her or something like that, or trying to pull her and say, listen, hey, come up to my room. It was nothing like that. And then you had other witnesses around. And this is why you got to be so careful. A celebrity like that, Michael Jordan, people think he got millions of dollars. Oh, excuse me, Michael Irvin.
Mm-hmm.
You still there?
I'm here. Go for it.
Yes, we're here.
Okay, I apologize. Michael Irvin, you got to be careful. This is why This is why you can't just walk by yourself. This is why you can't talk to a fan or be friendly with somebody because they see dollar signs. You know, if she's going to get a lawyer and try to get a lawsuit and win this, goddamn, let me just walk up to a celebrity, bump into her and fall down so I can get paid myself.
Bro, they do it all the time. But listen, I got a bunch of people in the queue.
Time, Coach.
Thank you, man. What's your name, brother? What's your name? What's your name? So what's your name, brother? Hello?
Green.
All right, Green. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for calling in. As always, man, definitely.
I'm gonna get well soon.
And we'll make it happen, man. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks a lot, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Good point right there, man. Great point right there by Green. That's important. Hold on, 12. Real quick for callers. If you're calling in, the worst thing you can do is try to listen to your television and use your phone. It's a 10-second delay. So just listen on the phone. You can hear it nice and clear. And then once we finish, you can come back on and you can listen to the show that way. That's how sometimes people get mixed up. 12, say your point real quick, and I'm getting on to my next caller.
Yeah,
6455.
Yeah, Baby Shaq. And a couple of people in the chat were asking, nice conversation. Is there audio of what was said? According to Marriott, there is no audio of the conversation that transpired. No audio. So they could have been talking about Snoop Doggy Dogg and last year's Super Bowl halftime show. You just never know what they were talking about. You never know. So yeah, so Baby Shaq, I just wanted to answer your question. From what they're saying, there's no audio of the encounter at all.
That's correct. Coach. All right, 6455 coming to you. Where are you? Oh, here we go. Caller, you are live. 6455.
Hello.
I know. Hey, I know this voice. I see you smiling. You know, I got vision phone. Let me be quiet. I'm sorry. Hi, this is the Coach Hayes Football Show. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on? Talk to her. What's your thoughts on this? Finally get our first lady on the line. What's your perspective? What's your thoughts? Talk to us. I know you give it to us raw, Lexus.
Yeah, Michael Irvin, first let me say, is another one of my, I'm a big time Dallas Cowboy fan, and he's one of my all-time favorites, and I love the child. I love him. And I don't mean child disrespectful. I just love the brother. Let me say that.
Okay.
I just hope that first of all, I just strongly believe that any man that really does sexually harass a woman should at least take a tour of hell if they don't go permanently. And any woman that accuses a man of that it is not true should at least take a tour of hell if they don't go permanently. Okay, that's just my belief on that. So it's such a strong accusation that they better be right when they're making the claim. And if they are, and if they are right, then that punishment should fit the crime, if you will. Let me say that first. But then secondly, I want to say with Michael Irvin, I love him. It's just, here's the thing that, my parents used to always say to me is, if you come home one time and tell me somebody was messing with you, okay, somebody was messing with you. And that's the reason why you hit that girl in the mouth, because she was messing with you. And then you come home 2 weeks later and say you hit another girl in the mouth because she was messing with you. And then you come home 3 weeks later and say you hit another girl in the mouth because and after a while, my mama gonna be saying, "What's wrong with you?" Because I'm the common denominator. I'm the one doing the fighting all the time. And I said that to say, Michael Irvin has had too many of these kind of claims. So what I want him to do, I love him dearly. What I want him to do, maybe he should step up a little bit with his, being careful and protecting his image and protecting his, because he's a celebrity. And to you all's point, he's the one got everything to lose, not these people. And we know we do have some trifling women in this world, just like we do trifling men that accuse men of doing stuff that didn't come close to happening. We know, and especially when they celebrities. That's a devil, dog. So what I think Michael Irvin had to do, because he's the common denominator, with these accusations. Maybe he needs to step up his game and maybe put down some of that liquor or something, whatever it is that's caused
that cane juice. You know you're a cane. That's that cane juice, Lexus. He on that cane juice.
Say what?
I said, he's a Miami Hurricane. He on that cane juice.
Yeah, you and him both need to put down that cane juice. You and him both.
Oh Lord. Well, let me. Go ahead.
Because I'm not no celebrity, but even myself, I work for a company that say, even when you're not at work, there's a certain type of representation you got to have. And yes, you can do what you want to do when you're not on company time, but it better not affect you getting back on company time.
I heard that.
I can get drunk tonight if I want to, but I better not go to work tomorrow stumbling all over myself. Because that is the company's business now.
Yeah,
because I'm stumbling all over myself.
Yeah, and you know what's funny, real quick, Lexus? I'm gonna say this. He had enough wherewithal not to take a picture in front of a bar. In that very same moment, he doesn't have enough wherewithal not to say something crazy like that within 30 seconds. Think about what I just said. As soon as he finished talking to the young lady, he has enough consciousness, whether he's drunk or not, or had one too many, not to take a picture in front of a bar because of the image it may portray. But 20, 30 seconds earlier, he was out of his mind. I don't know. But listen, I got to run, Lexus. Thank you so much. We got quite a few people in here. And as always, I know I'm going to make you a fan. So thank you, Lexus. I appreciate you. And as always.
But your point you just made, let me say this real quick. The point you just made is all the more reason why he should watch himself. But anyway, I'm going to go. Let you check the rest of the call.
Yes, man. Appreciate it. All right. I'm coming to 9374 right now. We got to run through this. We got almost 10 people here in the queue. 9374. Caller, talk to us. You are live.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, man. What's your name?
Okay. Yes. Yes. This is Miss Jones. And I want to say I agree. I don't think this rises to the level of the accusations. I just have a question for you and your host. 2 questions.
Sure.
Do you think the NFL Network would have gotten rid of Rich Eisen if it had been him, or ESPN would have gotten rid of Stephen A. Smith if it had been him? That's all. Please answer that question, because I think that'll tell you a lot about how they really feel about Michael Irvin. Thank you.
Ooh.
Ms. Jones. We got a thing going on. I didn't want to open that door. Hold on. I didn't want to open that door 12, but Ms. Jones came in. She kicked in the door, waving the fofo. All I heard was, Papa, don't hit me no more. Listen, we all know how this goes. Hold on. We all know how this goes, 12. We know how this goes.
Excellent question.
And it's interesting. We see this all the time, but the problem occurs. That was in real time a week before the event. I need somebody in the chat to help me out because I don't have all the research. I'm not the research king. But have there been other instances with other faces, as Ms. Jones referred to, Rich Eisen, so forth and so on, who have had such allegations and continued on in a timely manner? Because remember, the Super Bowl was less than a week away. But we're talking about like that. And I think we'll definitely find out further in the future. 12, real quick. I need a real quick answer, and I'm going to go ahead to 7303 coming next.
Hey, Mrs. Jones, you blew my socks off with that one. I'm not even wearing socks.
Be careful now.
I got on house slippers. Let me clarify that. I'm talking about it's a joke. So but you know what? I respect the question. And I think the likelihood, as we've seen in the past, sometimes the punishment, the swiftness, sometimes with us is a little different. So I don't believe it would have been the same if it was Rich Eisen or if it was Stephen A. Smith, particularly because of who they are on the networks. And Rich Eisen is been around for a long time. He's probably like one of the head commentators there, and also Stephen A. Smith. Now, I would say this, Mrs. Jones, I think Stephen A. Smith would probably get removed before Rich Eisen. I think that could happen, but I think it'll be more difficult for them to remove those faces. Because remember, Michael Irvin is a guest on Stephen A's show, and also he's on the NFL Network. So I get your point 100%. Yeah, and I don't think I don't think it would be fairly viewed from that perspective, Mr. Jones. So that's definitely a great question.
Shad brings up real quick. Shannon Sharp had a situation that wasn't fire. I don't really know. Do you know anything? Real quick, too, if I got to get to 3703. I'm coming to you right now, but that's interesting, Shad. I appreciate it. Do me a favor, man. I know you might be out there working, but if you got an opportunity to call in, 73. Come on, man. 3703 coming to you right now. Talk to us. You are live. Give us your name and what's your thoughts on the Michael Irvin situation.
All right, it's cool. My name is Leonard. Now, I'm going to tell you, you sung the song, Mrs. Jones. I work in the transportation division, and I had a patient that her name was Jones, Miss Jones. And she got offended one time because someone sung that song to her.
Mm-hmm.
Was it malicious in intent? No, but she took it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually had a time where somebody said, I looked at him too hard. See, it's not about what you do, it's how it's perceived.
That's right.
Where she comes from and what she's done and what she's experienced in her life makes her feel that way. Doesn't mean that she's correct. That's the way she felt at that moment, based on whatever she's been in her life or what she's done. She may have seen certain people that look like him make advances and make her feel uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with a woman saying, excuse me, I feel uncomfortable. I think that's the problem, that we don't allow women to allow themselves to say, I feel uncomfortable. I want to excuse myself. If you feel uncomfortable, please get away from me. I don't want to be put in this position. I'm not quite sure Michael Irvin didn't either.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to shoot his shot or whatever he did, he might have been wrong with his wife, but that don't mean he was wrong to shoot his shot. Like, you know,
it wasn't inappropriate. Yes,
there's nothing wrong. He might have said he might have said, "You're a very beautiful woman," and if that made her uncomfortable, she should have said, "I'm uncomfortable. Can I excuse myself?" You know, those are things that a woman should be able to do. And Michael Irvin didn't advance at her. I don't have a problem with anything that he did. A woman should be able to say, I feel uncomfortable. A man should be able to say, I feel uncomfortable.
Good point.
That's as simple as that.
Good point. Man.
Anybody can take anything the wrong way. And that doesn't mean that you cost a man a job. If he said he felt like he was a modern lynching, you know, he's getting lynched for his livelihood. He's getting lynched for his name, his reputation.
Yeah.
All those things come into place because you don't know where he's coming from at this point.
His NIL, his name, image, and likeness. His own NIL is at jeopardy.
Because this what I learned. This what I learned in the military. It's not about reality. It's all about perception.
That's right.
Reality means nothing. Perception is everything.
Mm-hmm. You know what, man? You know what? You say your name is Leonard. You sound like Coach Spoon, though.
That's who it is.
Man, I know listen, Coach Good with these ears. They big now. But Coach Good with these ears. I said, man, this dude sound like Coach Spoon. But he said his name was Leonard. But anyhow, I'm going to say this, and 12 knows this real well. I've always said this. The accusation is more deadly than the truth. And Charlemagne the God always says something very similar. Charlemagne the God always says something very similar. He says, why tell the truth when the lie is more entertaining? Charlemagne the God says that all the time.
Serious.
Yeah, he always says that. Why tell the truth when the lie is more? Maybe I might jack it up a little bit, but that is the premise of what it is. But listen, Coach Spoon, I got to run. We got quite a few people here in the deal, man. But you make a very valid point, and I really, you know what? I think there's not enough of that. It's not enough of. I think there's too much of. Let me go back. I think there's too much of people expecting you to know how they feel instead of you telling them how they feel.
If you go back to Emmett Till, I know you shouldn't compare it to it, but you have to understand that woman was nothing but a Karen today. You know what I mean? She overreacted, and that overreaction cost a child his life.
Definitely.
You know, if that overreaction costs a man his livelihood, his family, and all the above because she perceived something.
Correct. So to your point, man, you make a very valid point, man. That's awesome. Coach Boone, I appreciate it as always. V12, quick response. I'm gonna let you go, but I'm gonna call. I got some other people coming in. 8118 coming to you next.
No, I think I mean that's a very good
Thanks, Coach Boone.
A very good soliloquy on what he saw and what he's experienced. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand the perception piece of it. We have to also make sure, like I think one of the callers said, that when you're making such type of to your point, allegations, that it has to be on point, because if it's not on point, then it could potentially be damaging and damning to all involved. So I mean, I think that was a great call.
Definitely. Real quick, Ellen, they say you made a good point. I missed it. So if you can, please either re-put it up. I want to hear what your point was. Our producer's in the building. She's a lady. I would love to hear her call in and give her point of view. I definitely would, because, she's a silent partner in this deal. But anyway, 8118 coming to you right now. 8118. Caller, talk to us. Give us your name. Let us know what are your thoughts on the Michael Irvin situation.
Peace. Cinderoni. My thoughts on this Michael Irvin situation is when you got someone who has the knowledge and the wit to be on these shows and things of that nature, they tend to want to restrict you unless you got a good old boy spirit. Now, Michael Irvin tends to flirt in between, a good time and a good old boy. And I think that some of the comments he's made before about women and things of that nature, that's what led him in this situation right here. Because clearly, for something as simple as a conversation to turn into $100 million lawsuit, this has to be, some type of ploy, propaganda. Because Michael Irvin could have been on TV before Stephen A. and all these other guys. ESPN could have been hired Michael Irvin. As a matter of fact, he's been on several different shows, but it's always a situation where he, takes a hiatus and then he comes back another 5 or 8 years and stuff like that. But Michael Irvin's been floating around for quite some time. I think that statements he's made before, certain people are trying to hold him accountable and trying to portray him as that, because we all know Michael Irvin has had substance abuse problems. He's had, other run-ins with the law and things of that nature. He likes to have a good time. And Michael Irvin was a premier wide receiver, late 80s, early 90s or whatnot, if I'm not mistaken. I grew up watching Michael Irvin, so I know what it is with that 88. But at the same time, I think that Michael Irvin needs somewhat of his own scenario, because as long as he's dealing with these other people, they're going to continue to send these type of Karens and people who crying wolf and things like that when there's nothing there. Michael Irvin is a trained professional at this point. I refuse to believe that he would throw his career away to, for some random at a hotel.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, I'm gonna say this because I see my man Chi-Town in the building. I know that number from anywhere, but like he said, he live in hotels 4 or 5 months of the year. He run into people all the time. Think about it. Just in that 4-minute clip, he took 2 sets of pictures in that 4-minute clip. As the clip began, he's standing outside taking pictures. He comes in, has a conversation with the young lady, and goes back and takes another set of pictures. Imagine what that life is like. So no, you don't know everybody you interact with.
Why didn't they press him right then and there when it was all like, so dramatic and all this and that? How come that, these charges and all this stuff came so much later? And then I'm gonna give you some more instances better. Think about how they did Warren Sapp when they seen Warren Sapp coming up in the broadcasting game and whatnot. They sent in these dirty prostitutes on him, and they made up these stories on him.
He ain't cut the check though, dog. Hey, they said it. I don't know. Allegedly, because me and Sapp cool peoples, man.
Yeah.
But allegedly,
Oh yeah.
He didn't see TC,
That was about
dog.
the
He
check,
didn't
though.
cut the check, dog. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah, he didn't want to give up the money. Yeah, he didn't want to get. That's the whole thing about it. See, people pay prostitutes to leave and be quiet. They don't pay them just because they, available and look good.
Oh
You
my
paying a hooker
God.
to shut her mouth and get out of here.
Boy, listen,
You
I ain't
taking them
messing.
to go.
I'm not messing
Look
with you.
at Tiger Woods right now. I know you don't think that was worth $30 million.
30.
You look. She's trying to get $30 million out of Tiger Woods off a breakup.
Yeah.
Now you can go to any strip club in any city in America and find somebody that look better than this trash on that Tiger Woods dealing with right now.
Hey, for $30 million, you could
And-
buy 3 strip clus. And
That's
anyway,
what I'm saying. You can get the same chick for $50, $150, $200.
Hey, for $30 million, you could buy 3 strip clubs and have John Morant with his gun play security in that joint in the VIP.
That part. Look, they could bring John Gotti back with $30 million. You can get the whole. You can bring back the whole mafia. Now, see what my point is.
I got one more caller, but go ahead, man. Make your last point. I got to get my man Shy
Okay,
here.
make my last point. Oh, for sure. My last point is when they see certain black individuals thriving in their lane and doing the best they can do, and they look at that as a potential threat, as taking a white man's job. That's why they don't want no black coaches. They don't really want too many black anchors and all that kind of in the broadcast business. But they ain't got no choice because we speaking up right now. So as long as we continue to stand up and speak up, our people will be safe and in good hands. But Michael Irvin, he just got caught up being a superstar, and it's unfortunate. And I hope he wins his lawsuit of $100 million against that hotel.
Let me ask you a quick question before you go. And Shy, I'm coming to you, baby. You the last one on, so I'm gonna let you ride out. Knowing what people know, and I don't know how to phrase this, but I guess I will. Should Michael Irvin have a sidekick? What do I mean?
Absolutely.
He have a dog.
Absolutely,
For
because-
example.
Yeah,
Hold on. Before you go.
He should have somebody like me. He should have somebody like me around, so he ain't got to worry about that. You understand what I'm saying? Because see, when they call Cinderoni, I'm gonna have it already waiting on you. I'm gonna have everything we already talked about. It's already gonna be there. You ain't got to go out there doing no mix and mingling. You ain't got to go out there in front and fake it with the people. I'm gonna have everything you want right there waiting on you when you get there. They need to call Cinderoni and look, and I wouldn't say just him. Majority of the league would need, you know what I'm saying, especially the ones retired or the ones just coming up getting some money. They gonna need, another pair of eyes out there or somebody who got their best interest, so they ain't got to get caught up in that. See, one thing, just like with Lawrence Taylor back in the day, remember he got caught up in something like that, but that's because the dude lied. You see what I'm saying? The dude lied and said she was. You feel me? But think about what I'm saying though. They definitely need another set of eyes out there if they got their best interest. For sure.
I got you, dog. Well, Cinderoni, I love that name. Dog, I appreciate you, dog, as always, man. Thank you so much for calling in. I got to slap somebody right quick before I get to my next caller, man.
Hey, much love, bro. Hey, great show.
Appreciate you, babe.
Sure.
Hey, real quick before I get to Shy, Gmail, and I know you've been around with this channel for a long time. He said, take down them LSU flag and put up some Florida Gator flag. D12, you want the honors, do I want the honors? He said LSU. I ain't got no LSU flag up. Do you have LSU flag up?
No idea.
Turn around and let them know, boy. Let them know what it is. That's not LSU. What is that? T stands for. Come on, man.
Better than LSU, my brother. Go check that. Holla at me,
Hey,
man. G-man.
Gmail.
Get at
I'm gonna
us.
tell you this. It's 2023. And you got to have a black and white TV, dog, or a black and white phone. Because first of all, I see it kind of look like, but you see the tiger up there, but it clearly, scoot your head a little bit to the right there, brother. It says Tennessee State University. The colors are blue and white, not purple and gold. V12, from me to you, slap that dude.
Hey, Shad, it ain't disrespectful. He don't know no better, Shad. I don't take it personal. I love it, man. I'm looking at him. He doing that. Hey, look, you know how we do. And it's right here, too. You can tell who exposed and who ain't exposed. Get at us.
I love it. So listen, I'm just teasing him, man. Let me get my man Chi-Town, who has been patiently waiting. And I have to be honest with you, I'm a little upset with him. Before I bring him on, I'm a little upset with Chi-Town. I'm gonna tell you why. God, I hope to God it's him. I think I remember the number. But I'm gonna tell you why I'm upset with Chi-Town. I ain't talked to my man in a minute, and I'm a jealous vlogger. When I don't hear from my people, I feel funny inside. If you notice, I caught Coach Spoon. He said Leonard. I'm like, this sounds like Coach Spoon. I listen well. I don't listen good. I listen well. Chi-Town King, you all the way live. Talk to us.
What's up, Coach? I don't know why you mad at me, bro. I've been watching. I haven't been in the comment section, but I've been watching all your shows, man.
I know, man.
Have millions of loyalty.
I'm just messing with you, man. Talk to us, man. What's your thoughts on this deal? I know you're going to have a great insight. There's nobody calling in behind you right now, so you're going to have some great insight, man. Go ahead and give us a call Give us your point of view on this, man.
Okay, well, honestly, I don't know what the conversation was, so I could definitely understand where people just say, well, we don't know what he said to her. He could have made her feel uncomfortable and all this and that. And my answer to that is, but us men are not mind readers. I'm like, if you feel uncomfortable, you have every right to tell us that we made you feel uncomfortable, and we could apologize and be like, I'm sorry, though, it weren't my intention, and we'll walk away. Now, you're going to run into some guys who are just idiots and whatever, but the majority of us, if you tell us that we make you feel uncomfortable, we'll walk away, we'll apologize, and we'll go on about our day, no harm, no foul. We cannot read your mind what makes you feel uncomfortable, on how you felt during a certain statement that I said. I can't do none of that. So if you feel uncomfortable, and if I said something that offended you, then just tell me, and I will apologize about, hey, that wasn't my intention, and I'll keep it moving. And, a lot of people just say, well, women don't have to, feel like that. A woman doesn't have to feel offended, or she shouldn't have to walk away. I'm like, yes, but it just makes the whole situation easier. Because as men, if we feel uncomfortable, we're probably just going to remove ourselves from the situation. I'm not staying nowhere that I'm unwelcome. And I'm definitely not feeling somewhere that I feel unsafe. I'm getting in my car, I'm driving, I'm trying to make it home that night. So if you feel uncomfortable, you have every right to turn around and walk away. Find somewhere that you feel safe. Get surrounded by people. Do whatever you need to do. But you can't just assume that us as men are going to know that we offended you or we make you feel uncomfortable. A lot of us aren't mind readers, and a lot of us, most of the time, can't read body language. Like, a lot of guys are not really like that in tune with themselves or even other people to be like, hey, I couldn't tell that she was offended. And people are just like, well, if he gets proven innocent, no harm, no foul. I'm like, nah. As men, in the court of public opinion, you're going to run into people who are going to be like, no, he's guilty. Like, I don't care what they say. He probably paid people off. And now his image is forever ruined, even if he's proven innocent.
True story. You know what, Shy? It's funny you say that. It's funny you bring that up. And 12, I want you to jump in here too. There is a fine line, right? We've all been to the club, to an event where, but here's what's funny. What works on one person doesn't work on all people. I seen a dude in the club grab a lady by the wrist, bring her close, and she was receptive. Not saying that's right or wrong, but she was receptive to that energy. I've seen, how you walk by, especially if you red bone, yo, red, and you grab that hand, and then the dude turn around, F you then, da. So I say all that to say, I've seen guys come up with a very nice approach. Hello, how you doing? My name is da. And they be like, And then I've seen the guy come with that approach, and she's receptive. There's no playbook to this deal. And I say that to say, you don't know what works till it works, right? It's just what it is.
I'm emptying out the playbook, coach. If I watch you, I'm trying every different approach.
But that's the point.
You know what I'm
But when you in the club and the music loud, you on borrowed time. You ain't got a lot of time, bro. You got one shot and you trying to study. And again, you may go to your go-to. You may a dude that uses that aggressive approach and it works for you. But then it doesn't work for you sometimes. What I'm saying is I think that the introductory piece of meeting people has become so crazy right now that people don't know what to do. Now, again, for the average person, when I say the average, the non-celebrity, nothing comes of this. But for celebrities, what do you do? Like, what do you do if you're a celebrity? Like, do I send Cinderoni over there and play Shy Guy from 5 Heartbeats? Hey, 12, I like that young lady over there. Go holler at her for me. Now she looking at me like, oh, you think you bigger than that? You can't talk to me yourself? Or do I go speak to her and potentially get accused? It might only be out of 100 women, it might only be that one, but that one is detrimental. And that's where I think the issue lies in this whole deal. It's not the 99, well, it's no harm, no foul. It's the one you run across that causes this situation, and now it's detrimental. And that's the problem. It just, I don't want to be that famous. I don't want to be that famous, dog. 12, what's your thoughts on this, man? Real quick before you go, Shaw. What's your thoughts on this, 12?
No, I was just trying to get I'm looking up something because I want to make sure that we're being fair to the topic on both, being fair to the topic.
So here's what I'm gonna do. You ready? Okay.
So what I want to say is we're talking about harassment, and that's what the lady is. And so I'm looking at I'm looking at the dictionary version of what harassment is, and it says it's aggressive pressure or intimidation. So that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. LOM harassment is. And so to be fair, looking at that, we may have we haven't seen that probably, but that's why it's to your point earlier, it's a he say she said situation because it could have been verbalized. So we don't know. But we have to also understand that a lot of the harassment issues also are often contained in the workplace environment. And so, for example, if you, to your point, good night, to your point, if you're out in the street, you say something to someone, it's not like they're going to be like, this guy harassed me. They may say, hey, look, I want to talk to you. And that's it. But if you keep trying to approach them, that could definitely be considered a form of harassment.
Yeah, real quick. LOLM, please, I want another lady to call in. I want to hear another lady's perspective. I would love to hear that before you go to, I know the Budweiser probably done knocked you off your feet. First of all, we got a young lady drinking Budweiser. That's a problem right there. We got to get them on that cane juice only for entertainment purposes. But I just want to say, I would love to, if you still listen to call in or another young lady, I want to hear from a young lady's perspective how they perceive this. I really do. I really do. But go ahead, Shy, in response.
Yeah. So, like Vito said, there's a difference between harassment and assault, and that's true. But I'm going off of, because I looked at it and it said he sexually harassed her. So that's what's going off with that. But this is where I have a lot of friends who are women, and I'm like, so what do you think draws the line? Because this is why a lot of guys don't even pursue women publicly anymore for this specific reason. A lot of women are complaining now because men aren't shooting their shot in public. And then we backfire like, well, this is the reason why. We might be the next person that's canceled on social media because a woman said that we harassed them. And then on top of that, say you don't say I sexually harassed you, but I'm pretty sure V12 and Coach Hayes, you've walked up to a young lady and you've said something to her to be like, Do I look like that type of woman? I don't think you look like any type of woman. I just said what I said. It's not about what you look like. That's just what I said, and you took it that way, like the earlier caller said. Now, I'm sorry if you took it that way, but I didn't think you looked any type of way. But this is just my way of starting a conversation. If you subject with you, I'll walk off and no harm, no foul. But this is where the problem, we don't have a specific definition of how a woman is when she feels sexually harassed and and even sexually assaulted, but that's a different topic where, it might be consensual. She changes her mind after it all happens, and then she comes in and says, "Oh, well, no, this is what happened." Like, it's touch and go. And I hate these type of situations because these are the issues that this whole movement back. Like your grandmother, your mother, your great-grandmother fought to get you a right to be able to go to places where men went and be able to mix in women and men with you feeling comfortable. And now you have people who are just doing this for clout, or I'm not saying this woman on Michael Irvin's thing is doing it for clout. I'm not saying that at all. But the issue is that now you have people doing it for views, for clicks and all this kind of stuff, and it turns out to be fake, and you're just making people in general feel uncomfortable. Like the videos at TikTok about the gym where women feel like, oh, this pervert's looking at me in the mirror, or this person's just staring at me. It's making me feel uncomfortable. All the while, that man might not even be looking at you.
I feel you.
It's a situation like where people need to take in the bigger picture. If you feel sexually harassed, then hopefully we find out what was said and what wasn't. Hopefully we find that out. But before you make a specific allegation, that word sexual harass and sexual assault carries weight now.
I agree with you, Shot. Listen, I totally agree with you, man. I got to roll, but you make some very valid points, man. And I thank you for being so patient. But I be wanting to hear from you, man. When the people on the team don't show up to practice, I got a problem. And like Michael Irvin, when Allen Iverson say practice, we talking about practice. Yeah, coach expect the players to be at practice. So I'm just teasing you, man. I know you got things to do.
Do you have an email I could email you to explain what's going on?
If you want to, man, yeah, you're more than welcome. CoachHayesFootball@gmail. You can, man. And we'll chop it up. We can definitely chop it up. Email me, DM me on Twitter, whatever. But it's just CoachHayesFootball at gmail.
All right, I got you, Coach.
All right, thanks, man. I hope all is well. But if you know me, I'm coach. We here to coach me, call. I'm here to work it out.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. I want to say one thing right here, 12. Before we get off this deal here in a second, but
I'm listening.
He goes, I want to read to you what was said. Imagine I should have did this earlier, but I was a little all messed up from earlier, and I'm still waiting for some ladies to call in. But I want to read something to you guys. I just want you to hear the words. Imagine if there was no video. And this is what you heard. The motion obtained by the Dallas Morning News says charges that Irving, who might have been drunk, acted aggressively and made a lewd comment. Marriott says Irving flagged down the woman, who is a staffer at the Renaissance Phoenix downtown, on February 5th, a week before the Super Bowl, while she was on the job. In quotation, Irvin also reached out and touched the victim's arm during the conversation without her consent, causing her to step back, becoming visibly uncomfortable. Marriott attorney Nathan Chapman wrote in the document, quotation, Irvin then asked the victim whether she knew anything about having a big black man inside of her. Taken aback by Irvin's comments, the victim responded that his comments were inappropriate and she did not wish to discuss it further. Irvin attempted to grab the victim's hand again and said he was sorry if he brought up bad memories for her. The victim pulled her hand away and tried to back away from Irvin as he continued to move forward towards her. That's a statement that was written. If you listen to the story, That's a statement that was written by the Marriott attorneys. But look at the embellishment in there. He took what was and added to it. So back to Warren Kane. I totally agree where you're coming from, but I think Michael Irvin has to fight fire with fire right now to paint a different picture. Because look at this. He tried to grab her and she didn't. Where did you see that? They shook hands twice. He tapped her on the elbow, and you've been there when you laugh at somebody you hit on the arm. He didn't grab her. Irvin attempted to grab the victim's hand again and said he was sorry if he brought up bad memories for her. The victim pulled away her hand and tried to back away from Irvin as he continued to move forward towards her. That's in quotation marks. See, you talked about the language and you talked about the power of words, Twill. If there was no video, we would take that as that to gospel.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate situation. That's the unfortunate, and that's why tapes and body cams and people who citizens who film things when people don't think they're watching to help solve crimes and help out the public. So important because when you have a conversation with someone. There's a decent amount of distance I think he kept. I mean, of course, sometimes you move around when you talk. I don't think he cornered her. It didn't seem that way to me, not according to the video. And I'd just like to point out, it wasn't like she was in a space where if there was a situation where he was, a couple of times she stepped in. If you take a look at the video, she leaned in, she kind of stepped in. They both were kind of coming in and out of the space. So it's unfortunate. And I think that's why the attorneys, Irvin's attorneys, feel comfortable in filing this, because remember, it's a defamation lawsuit.
Right.
So did Marriott defame Michael Irvin's character? That's going to be the hot topic in court. And we'll see how that goes. $100 million, I think, incorporates everything. Incorporates not working at the NFL Network, probably incorporates not working with ESPN, also the legal fees, and just also damages to his reputation. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm glad that the tape is there so we can all take a look at it and form
and compare it to his words. That's the biggest thing. You have to compare what they're stating happened to his words. And here's another tell. They knew it was going to be a problem. And I'm not an attorney, but maybe the Marriott should hire me. Because if I write that in a statement, knowing that there's video, and the video doesn't match my statement or the document that I write up, it's going to get out. But what you tried to lambaste this dude in the court of public opinion, maybe because like Lexus said, he has not a history, but he's had some issues before. So it's one of those, oh, here we go again, Mike. Here we go again, Mike. And if there was no video evidence, here we go again, Mike. Like she say, my mama, Lexus, let me tell you something. Your mama tell you a lot. I heard about eating the fish and spit out the bones, and now your mama say you keep doing it over and over. So now this would have been another occurrence on his thing. And now people would have said, who's the common denominator? Michael Irvin.
But here's an interesting perspective as well, Coach, in which sometimes us as employees may say that employers don't go to bat for us. Remember, this lady is an employee of Marriott, right? So Marriott has an obligation to protect her. And so once she made those allegations, it was pretty much a wrap. Now we can argue were those calls to the NFL severe? Should they have to the NFL Network were severe? Should they have gone that far? I think something being done, but not to this extent. Even if they thought that he, quote unquote, harassed her, that removing him from the hotel and having them removed from the situation is different and moving on. But they have an obligation. So Marriott has pretty much dug in on behalf of their employee, and it's difficult for them to kind of back out of where they are right now.
And to your point, 12, I'm all for them backing their employee, but I'm not for the embellishment of the stating the facts.
Right.
When there's video evidence to corroborate what the words in the pictures don't match. That's my problem. He flagged her down. See, it's all about the verbs that you use and the adjectives. He flagged her down. They were 3 feet from each other. See, that makes it seem like she was on the other side of the hotel. He like, hey, come here. Like he beckoned for her. Like, that's not what happened. They literally was walking past and he kind of leaned in like, hey, he flagged. See, those, like you said, the language. Here's the thing. Causing her to step back, becoming visibly uncomfortable. If they saw the same tape I saw.
Yeah, well, Marriott, I think before Marriott was banking on, I think that obviously they were banking on that video never seeing the light of day, which is unfathomable because, when you have lawsuits, they release videos. And prior to them writing that statement, I guess they thought that the judge was going to be like, no, you don't have to release the videotape. But when it comes to something this important, judges are going to be like, hey, let's see that tape. And yeah, so to your point, Coach, I think it's just sad and unfortunate, but they're trying to back their employee, and it just doesn't seem like it's whatever they're saying adds up or is consistent with what we're seeing on the video.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I believe Ellen says she be reprimanded at work. She's probably on leave with pay, just because of who it is and so forth and so on. But like I said, I think he'll come through this. I don't know if he'll get 100 million. They probably shot high just to meet in the middle at 50. Then they got to, of course, you got to pay the taxes, so forth and so on. And I'll say this kind of in conclusion. Nobody else is calling in. The number's been scrolling. I'm a little sad because I do want more women to call in. I know there's some women watching. There's 157 people watching right now. But I will say this. It'll be interesting to find out how NFL and ESPN, those networks, how they move forward with Michael Irvin. It'll be very interesting. I can understand why they protected themselves from the Super Bowl. I get it, right? The same way people complained about Rihanna, it was too sexual. And the lady didn't hardly even move. She's pregnant. She hardly moved in the Super Bowl, and people complain, oh, it's too sad. So people complain about any and everything. So to your point earlier, like you said, I'm coming to you. I see you up there, Alexis. I'm coming. So to your point, 12 earlier, where you said it's better to have him off and innocent than on and guilty. They had to protect their name, image, and likeness. But unfortunately, this young man can't protect his name, image, and likeness due to allegations that are he say, she say, so forth and so on.
So let me ask, so Coach. So here's how should it have been handled?
All right. So here's how this is handled. First of all, there needs to be a conversation with Marriott. This is what should have handled before anything happened. Marriott contacts the NFL because they were also instructed to do that. Like I said, NFL said that if anything happens to one of their employees, players, whatever, contact the NFL because, of course, they want to get in front of it first, right? Somebody drunk. It's a Super Bowl. NFL should have now come in and done a preliminary, wait a minute, because NFL ain't no slouch. Trust me, they got FBI agents, they got all kind of people. They can come in and do preliminary. They should have been a preliminary such and such before anything, because it was week. It was within the week, maybe 4 or 5 days. And this may have happened, may not. I don't know. But you could have hidden it in the sense like they do anything else. Mike is sick, this, that, and the other. He can't blah, blah, blah until whatever. You can always play that down certain ways, blah, blah, blah. He had a family issue he had to take care of, unfortunately, yada, yada, yada. They didn't have to blast him like that because we don't. And again, Marriott saw the footage. NFL, I guarantee the NFL saw the footage. You don't think the NFL, as much money as they spend in them hotels at that chain, oh, them people went in there and saw that footage. So you can always remove Mike and say, listen, we're on investigation, Mike. This is what we're going to do. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to remove you from the field. We're going to play it off as if family issues. I don't think nobody really would have missed Michael Irvin from the Super Bowl for whatever reason. Hell, you could blame it on COVID like everybody else did when they was getting in foolishness. But that's how that's how I would have handled it before I just blasted them all across the Super Bowl and everything else. In that sense, I don't know if people agree or disagree with.
Yeah, according to his attorneys, they tried to resolve it real early, but Marriott was playing hardball, so that's just where we are.
That's where we are. We got Lexus on the line. Lexus, she calling back in. We're gonna wrap it up with her. So I'm gonna go ahead and she'll be the last call of the night. Lexus, talk to us.
Hey, Coach Hayes, I was just calling back because you gave that analogy and said, how would I feel after hearing what you read, what the Marriott attorney said that happened? And I would have to be first of all, I'm that innocent until proven guilty. I know they don't flip the script on this with the law. Said guilty until proven innocent nowadays. But for me, I haven't flipped that script, so I still would have said Michael is innocent until proven guilty, not just based on what some Marriott attorney or whatever said. However, I can't sit up here and say that I wouldn't have had one of those, oh God, not again, Michael Irvin moments. Mm-hmm. I can't say I would have said that, just being human and honest. But I think Michael Irvin, what he needs to do just at the end of the day, and then I'll say this and say what I forgot to say when I called earlier, is that he needs to guard himself and his life and his brand, just like he caught them footballs when he was on the field. I mean, he needs to be that serious about it. And so that he won't be caught up in the same thing again. It's an old saying that if you go into the woods and you get bit by a snake, you probably won't ever go into the woods ever again. But if you do, you won't go into the same woods, not the woods that the snake bit you and you won't. So, I mean, I want him to win. I don't think he did anything wrong. It's kind of like what Mike Tyson with that Anita Hill situation way back in the day. Do I believe he raped her? No, I don't. I believe she went there at 3:00 in the morning and knew what she was getting ready, what was getting ready to happen. And when she didn't get no after effect of it, when Mike said, okay, I'm done with you, goodbye, she got hit. Now, do I believe Mike Tyson was capable of rape during that time? Yes. But do I believe he raped her? No. So I think Michael Irvin just needs to kind of step up in that way, maybe on the serious tip, if he has to stay a little bit more sober or whatever. But to your point, he was able to take a picture, act like he was very coherent, walk away from that. So if he was able to do all that, then he needs to just learn how to, because I ain't going to tell him what was said in the conversation. And that's the part we'll never know. So if there's no audio, we'll never know what Michael Irvin said. And Michael Irvin is a man. And he a hoish one. We all know that. Let's just keep it real. So I'm not telling what was said. Now, it don't seem like she was all offended. She didn't act like she was. Because if he had said something that would have pissed me off, I don't care who he was, I'd have kicked him in the ankles and walked away. And you all would have saw that old video. Okay? So she didn't seem offended, but there's only God knows in the two of them what was said. And maybe it was some people, I don't know how loud the conversation was, with any people that was hanging around could have heard it. But I want to say this last thing. Mm-hmm. His comparison though to the lynching and the Johnny Depp, okay, he's reaching now. Now I really want him to put down the alcohol. So that's just a bit much. I love Michael, and I say this with love because I love him. I love the brother. I think he's bad to the bone. One of my favorite receivers ever. Period. Hands down. So when he started doing all that, it's like, okay, brother, now you're reaching. Now I want you to reach for some water and put that cane juice down, okay? Because now you're going a little far. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, Lex. Well, I appreciate it. 12, I want to say this, and I'll say this in response. And I understand where you're coming from, Lexus. But I'm gonna go back and say this. He had to fight fire with fire to paint a picture. Because remember, what he said is now exactly what it is, a soundbite. See, that was strategic. That was strategic because most people are not going to watch the 20-minute interview of him and his lawyers and the people on the screen. No, they're going to look at the soundbite. All the YouTubers are going to take that little soundbite, the little 45-second, 2-minute soundbite, and play that. And so I think that was strategically done to again win the court of public opinion, because people can draw that comparison to say, hey, whether we believe that or not, but you can clearly draw this opinion and say, hey, here goes a white woman saying I said something to her, because hear what he said. They come to the barn, drag you out by your ankles through the mud, and hang a brother by the tree. I think all of that was strategic. I don't think he was talking from just off the cuff. They talked about what they were going to say when they said that's what lawyers do. The same way strategically those lawyers wrote those verbs and stuff in there. The victim responded with the comments was inappropriate. She did not wish to discuss it any further. Like, they use verbiage and language powerfully. So yes, I understand where you're coming from, but I think Mike had to combat those other words that was out there with soundbite material, because we all know it's social media. It's sound bites. Pop, 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 pop. Everything is 10 to 50. Think about it. Look how impatient we are. How many of y'all can't wait till that 5 seconds over so you can hurry up and click off the doggone ad before you go watch a video? Think about that. 5 seconds to watch a free video. You're like, oh my God. And then when you get those non-clickable ads, you get pissed and probably go to another video because you got to wait now 20 seconds. Think about that. So, 12, anything you'd like to respond?
Yeah, no, I mean, I know when someone said in the chat, how you think it's going to end? Do you think it's going to trial, or do you think Marriott going to settle? What do you think, Coach?
I think they'll settle. One, they're already behind the 8 ball when it comes to that judge, being disobedient to that judge. I think that was a federal judge in that sense. So I think they'll settle. I think they shot extremely high for $100 million. I think they may walk out somewhere between 25 and 50.
These cases normally have their way of working themselves out. And you may not, depending on what the demands are from the attorneys, I won't be surprised if it may go to some kind of arbitration or mediation. And to your point, some kind of clause in there, and he gets paid, and it's under the rug, and they move on. So we'll see what happens. All this is political, is legal jousting back and forth. 100 million is definitely high, but I think he gets about 40.
But 12, you know what he's probably doing? He already, I might be wrong, but I think he already knows ESPN and I'm not going to touch him. So he's got to cover that salary.
Oh, I said that earlier. That $100 million lawsuit is encompassing everything. Like I mentioned, you weren't on. Like I mentioned, sometimes only thing you need is a trickle of dirt on your suit, and these networks are like hands off. And that's what earlier before you came, when you were off, I spoke about TJ Holmes and his girlfriend. How in the beginning it was all good. I'm not sure you're all fine and dandy. Then as things went on, people started to voice their opinion. Now it's there on an investigation. They really didn't do anything wrong, according to ABC, but they paid them to go away through mediation. They paid them to go away. So I can see, I can see, and it's unfortunate nowadays, which is cancel culture, man, is insane. As soon as you say something, you don't have a job the next day. And I think
and the thing is, I want to have that same outrage, like the same way we say that about Mike. I want to have that same reach energy for their attorneys. Like, hold on, y'all reaching now. Literally, y'all, like, that's what I think we have to do. We got to get that same energy for Mike. We got to get that same energy for their attorneys, right?
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Now, Mr. Chapman, Nathan Chapman, you wrote in the document that you said she looked visibly uncomfortable. I ain't see that. That sounds like a reach. Also, she reached out to touch the victim's arm during the conversation without her consent. To touch her arm, come on, dog. We got to put that in context, dog. Like, we should be outraged. That's a reach. Irvin then attempted to grab the victim's hand again, and she was sorry that he brought up the bad memories for her. The victim pulled her hand away and tried to back away from Irvin. Show me that on the video, Mr. Chapman. So I want that same reach for the hanging analogy and metaphor. I want to have that same thing for him. But I got Chris Caines on here. Lexus, you still on here?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was. I'm hanging up. Bye-bye.
Lexus still on the line. I just happened to look at the screen. All right, let me get Chris Caines. I said the last one. This is the last one. Definitely, we out here. Chris, talk to us.
Guilty until proven innocent, Coach.
We can't hardly hear you. We can't hardly hear you, bro. It's a big echo.
Oh, hold on. Let me take out my earpiece. Can you hear me now?
Oh, 100% better. Talk to us.
Okay. I was saying it's guilty until proven innocent. I ain't gonna keep you long. What's up, V12? What's going on with you, man? Hey,
what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hands, man. Gotta catch you with your hands.
All day.
Moving on. No. Anyway,
all day.
I was gonna say, man.
My hand's bigger than Donald Trump's.
And I don't like to bring up the race card, but come on, look at this. Look at this stuff that happened. Look at these other players that happened. Did anybody say anything about Ben Roethlisberger? Did anybody say anything about Brett Favre? Did anybody say anything about the owner of the Patriots that was going out there to have more than just a happy ending? Did anybody say anything about that? Oh, you heard a little bit about it, but then what happened? It get brushed under the rug. And this stuff actually happened instead of what is being blown out of proportion of being accused and allegedly a black man said something inappropriate to a white man, allegedly. And it wasn't even true. How dumb do you have to be to think that, I mean, yeah, we all know that Mike had his problems. He's had everything that's going on, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. Okay? But who's to say that this man did all of this stuff and then, like you said, it would have been the gospel if he wouldn't have had that video. See, that video ain't gonna lie to you. He ain't gonna lie to you. But the whole simple fact of the matter is that this man is guilty until proven innocent. Because he's the wrong pigmentation. Did anybody do anything to Ben Roethlisberger? Did anybody do anything to Brett Favre? Did anybody do anything as far as with that owner?
Robert
Did anybody
Kraft.
do anything to any of the? Did anybody do anything to these people that? It was some other. I forgot who it was, but those are the three that come to mind. But basically, nothing happened to them. You don't hear nothing else about it. But because this man allegedly had something happen, and the proof was there, now we sorry. No. And more than likely she is, like you said, Coach, on leave with pay. And that's a bunch of BS or anything like that. Because if that would have got done, I'd own that damn Marriott. You taking away my livelihood, my name, my reputation. You know who I am. Okay. You know what type of money that I've missed out on. Okay. And the NFL should have did a better job of that. But they didn't.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But because of this accusation that was falsified, she needs to do some jail time for that.
That's a whole nother story.
And I don't care what color you are. If you I don't care what color you are, Coach. If you falsify an accusation of any type, just like saying a guy went ahead and forced himself on you, and it wasn't true, and he goes to jail for that because of an accusation, and it comes out to be that he didn't do that of any sort. I'm just using that for an example. You need to go to prison for that, and you need to spend 10 years in prison because you're playing with people's lives here. That right there, you're playing with somebody's life. You're playing with his money. You're playing with his livelihood. You're playing with everything that he's worked hard to fight to get. Now, is he perfect? Absolutely not. Who is? But that right there is foul. And damn, leave. She need to be out there. She wouldn't have no job if it was up to me.
That's
and
real.
it'd be more than 100 million, and I'd be suing for. It'd be up towards that, close to $250 million, if not $500 million, because of the crap that y'all did for pain and suffering, and for the money that you caused me.
Now, Chris, I'm gonna say this.
I'm gonna show your ass black.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna say this though, 12.
And believe that.
12. I'm gonna say this in response real quick because we got to wrap this up. We just hit the 2 hour mark. That's what I was aiming for tonight. So we're gonna wrap this up. He brought up a good point, and I wanted to get into this earlier. What do we do for these false accusers? Prime example, Ellen brought up Johnny Depp. There's no recourse, there's no repercussions for the things that they do. There's no payment. So, for example, right, I can sue you civilly, but you can't get blood from a turnip if she don't have the money. But again, Johnny Depp has to do what? Pay his attorneys to defend him. Now, if she doesn't have to pay it back, well, guess what? I should have the option to invoke jail time because she can't pay me my money, right? I know that sounds crazy, but there's got to be a way because I had to spend $100,000 because he's Johnny Depp. He ain't coming in with a bus bench lawyer. He coming in with a real lawyer charging him real fees. Like, so my problem is, where's the repercussion, or where does the accused get their payback for false accusations?
Well, we're dealing with two different realms, though, Coach. So, for example, I think I alluded to it earlier. In Jasmine G, shout out to Jasmine G. There's no criminal charges against Michael, though. So there are two different realms. If it's a false charge or accusation against Michael Irvin criminally, then probably she can be held liable for making false claims, false charges, et cetera, et cetera. From a workplace perspective, she's protected under workplace rights. So I'm sure Marriott they have these trainings, they have these seminars on customer service and EEO and sexual harassment.
Yeah, I'm speaking of her. Yeah, I'm speaking of her, but I'm speaking in general of. But just one who's not. No, I'm talking about, like, just say the girl that says
Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah,
just do anything about that, Kyle. It's unfortunate because with Johnny Depp, that was a domestic matter.
Correct.
And so my point, I get what you're saying, but my point is, Coach, is that some of these things don't fall. It wasn't criminal. Johnny Depp, his ex-wife, he won money from her. She just don't have the money. So as a
right. So my option should be, since she can't pay, because like anything else, if you can't pay your taxes, guess what, bruh? Guess where you going? To the clank.
No, but remember this. The same thing with OJ, right? OJ couldn't pay the civil charges against what happened, but every time he got a little money, they took it from him. So from that aspect, you get penalized, and he was found guilty of something civilly. This thing, maybe it goes to court. Maybe they find her. They find Michael Irvin innocent. Who knows?
No, we need to start a database.
She ain't gonna have the money.
We need to start a database. It's called theymustbestop.com. And as soon as they get on there, we're gonna put their face on there, where they work, everything. Theymustbestop.com, dog. Because that's my only problem. That's the only problem I have. If you have been assaulted, harassed, whatever, I understand. But when it comes out to be clearly you just doing it out of spite, you're doing it out of malice,
right? Because
he don't want to be with you or whatever, or you think you can come up some hush money, right? Man, I'm just finna accuse him. Shoot, girl, I'm finna get 50 million. I'm not 50. Let's say I might get $100,000 just for him to what? Make me be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, dog. Nah, bro. And like I say, there's a lot of people that pay it's cheaper to pay them off and be quiet. Alexa, cancel. What is she talking about?
Coach.
think
So-
Alexis done went rogue.
Yeah, she done went crazy in the crib. She about to get put out too. See, false accusations. Guess what? She about to get unplugged. Straight up unplugged. But anyway,
Accountability.com or .net or whatever.
nah,
it is.
they must be
Accountability.
they must be stop.com. Straight up.
They need to, you know what they need to do? They need to pass a bill. They need to pass a bill, all jokes aside, for that when you accuse somebody for doing some stuff like that. If you accuse somebody of doing something and they didn't do it, and you falsify something or something like that, your ass need to go to prison for a minimum of 5 years.
No, you
Yeah.
should have to go on the
If you
registry,
are
dog.
But guys, but fellas, we can't.
You need to go on the registries, 12. You need to
don't
go
know
on the
that. You don't know that's the difference. The intent. It's hard to prove. Sometimes with these allegations, it's hard to prove intent. Yeah, they may be going after this person, but how do you prove intent? And when you start passing these bills, you know, women are already behind the 8 ball. They have a reluctance to file these charges or these claims. So you don't want to penalize the women or the people, you know, men too, who actually have legitimate issues and claims of sexual harassment and sexual assault. That's why it's so difficult. That's why it's so difficult, guys. You can't do that. Like Jasmine G said, that's not right. I don't know what can be done. I hear the frustration. I hear the but that doesn't bode well for the women and men.
I agree, bro.
Who
I'm just
are
tired of
abused. I get it. It's frustrating, but you can't do that.
Because to me, I look at it as, if it's falsifying, I look at it as that's criminal, because to me, that's fraud. To me, I look at it as fraud. You made a fraudulent statement in order to gain monetary stuff, right? In order to gain money. You made a favor. Yeah, you made a fraudulent statement, right? That's just like saying, I'm gonna offer you this service. I don't ever do it, but I pay you up front. And that's how I look at it. But Jasmine G says something, but this is funny. I want to hear from the women, because I want a woman to tell me, what would women think of men if they went and start calling out the female harassers? I would love to hear a woman's perspective, and a real one. Not, well, coach, if they did it, then no, I want to hear a woman to say, what would you think of a man who comes on? Let's say everybody loved Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan comes on and he gives an allegation that his manager assistant was rubbing on his leg because he was drunk after the Oscars. He won the Oscar, and he woke up to the manager's assistant rubbing on his leg, and he want to file a complaint. I want to hear what the ladies would think of Michael B. Jordan.
Let me just say this. Odell J, great question. And you know, that hasn't happened to me, and I pray it doesn't happen to me. And I understand the frustration, like I'm hearing from Coach in the call out, and some people in the chat. I get it, but we can't pass bills, right? Because remember, in the heat of the moment, the accuser's perception is different, and an accusation is an accusation. You got to make sure it's an accusation. Remember that. So it's an accusation. Do accusations hurt? Do they cost you, money? Do they cost you time? Do they cost you your fame? Probably, yes, it does. I don't know what you do about it though, Odell. I just don't know how you combat, because they're also legitimate claims of sexual harassment and sexual assault. So I don't know how you combat that. That's one of those questions where Coach always say, "What's the solution to it?" I don't know what it is. I don't. The other day, some was it a lady accused Chris Brown of quote unquote raping her, and it came out that it didn't happen. That's unfortunate. Now that's
in jail.
Hold on. That's a criminal act. And I'm sure Chris Brown could have sued her probably if he wanted to. But what is he going to get? The celebrity's almost behind, the celebrity, it almost definitely affects the celebrity more than it affects the lay person in this situation. But the lady came out. He had tapes. He had text messages. It never happened. That's unfortunate. You do have people who prey on stars, which is bad. But I think, for the most part, I don't know if everyone's going out there saying this is happening. This is happening. I just don't see that. Everyone just saying falsely accusing people of things of that nature. I just don't know.
Hey, and let me leave y'all with something for the end of, because I just read this today. 50 Cent, okay, he had somebody that was on his team, and they were stealing money from his cognac, right? $6.2 million. Now, I don't know how true it is, whatever the case is, but it seems like it's pretty legit. We probably find out more once the story goes on, right? What he did was he seized this man's house, took his house, everything, for the payment for what you stole from him. And what he's going to do is he's going to keep the house, the pictures, and everything else. That's just being petty. But the moral of the whole thing is that
keep the man pictures.
he said I'm keeping the pictures up in the family house and everything, just as the money. You know what I'm saying? But the whole simple fact of it is, petty. The point is, when you say someone steal, you deserve to go. You need to deal with the consequences, just as well as if you falsify documents, forge somebody's name, accuse somebody of doing something of what the nature is of what we were just talking about. You need to be dealt with the consequences, and it's more to the point of where it don't matter if it's a man doing it to a woman or a woman doing it to a man. If you do something to somebody of that nature, no matter what, you need to be held accountable. That's the problem. These people are not being held accountable. Only that's being said is that, oh, sorry, this happened, that happened. Oh, I'm sorry. But the accuser, the one that's being accused, their livelihood, they're being put in the limelight in a negative sense until it comes out not true. Now, when it's not true, then what?
Well, we already know that. I'm going to say this, 12. I'm going to say this and real quick. Chris, I'm going to let you ride, man. We got to get up off this deal, man. But I appreciate you as always, bro. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. I'm gonna close this deal out.
The
All right.
Hey, Coach, before you say that, though, they bought up Terry Crews. They bought a Terry Crews.
That's my point.
Go ahead.
And they clowned him. But that's my point. They clowned him. And what happened to his accuser, right? Again, he gonna let some dude grab up on him. He don't want to say nothing. He don't want to go out there because he get clowned. And that's my point. Dang, you got muscles, dog. Comedians that made jokes about Terry Crews. Just because you got muscles don't mean you know how to throw them things, right? I mean, it's just what it is, you know? But that's what I'm saying. So if men start doing it, them same women, ain't you the dude that accused old girl of sexually harassing? What you gonna do when I come in the house? Like, come on, we know how that is, double-edged sword. But I want to bring up one interesting point. I heard this news, and we're gonna wrap this up. Because we talk about making bills to stuff. Well, how about this silly bill I've been listening to here in our beloved state of Florida? 12, have you heard about this bill?
Go ahead, let me see. I may have. Is that the one where you can't, colleges can't teach Latin history, African American history, any kind of history, something in higher education?
Guess what they're trying to? Yes, but guess what they're trying to do? Alex Andrade, I guess, prohibits a state college, state bill, whatever, basically trying to get rid of what? Black and Latino fraternities and sororities.
Something like that, yeah.
Come on, bro. We can make a bill for whatever we want. That just proves my point. They can make a bill, put it right in your face, and say, what does that have to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion? I know what it has to do with, but what I'm saying is, Well, let's eliminate all sororities and fraternity. What are we talking about, bro? So I said all that to say, I know we can't make a bill about it. I just was being silly.
I know.
But we have to flip. We got to be able to flip it and say, guess what? When these dudes start coming out, Lil Boosie, that's what it was. Not the baby, it was Boosie. Lil Boosie was talking about doing a concert. He said, man, I had my junk grabbed so much walking through the concert. You just saw Busta Rhymes get his butt grabbed in the airport. He turned around to throw a drink. Man, he shouldn't have did that girl like that. What you mean? Now, here go the thing. What if he took her up on it? Oh, you want to grab her? He go grab her and start groping her. Then they're going to be like, oh, man, he harassed her. Nah. You open the door, I'm finna walk through it, old girl, right here in the middle of this airport or wherever we at. Concourse D.
I'm surprised that he didn't go, ha ha, Rhymes galore.
He did when he was throwing that cup. When he was throwing that cup at her, he hit her with that rah, like a dungeon dragon. Check your little drawers because your pants are sagging.
It's dangerous. You can't have a healthy, too much of us is dangerous.
Anyway, we just said all that, man. But anyway, imagine that. Baby Shaq say, Boosie would have been clowned by men for complaining. Yeah. So anyway, I know it's a double standard. I get it. I understand. I just hate to see that these guys have to go through this, unfortunately. And if it's true, nail them to the cross. But if it's not true, nail her to the cross. Or vice versa. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But anyway, hey, Chanel, I've never done this to you, but this is all love. Buster say, put your hands where my eyes can see. I love it. I love doing these lives, man. Hey, Chanel, that's classic, right?
I like it.
That's a good one. Oh, man. I'm getting out of here, man. It's late. It's a Wednesday. Hey, y'all chill out, man. 12 Coach Me Coach podcast, episode 52 is in the books. Oh, that was funny, Ellen. Thank you so much. Studio One, what's up? I see everybody in there. Jasmine, G, everybody else who's come through, man. Everybody who left donations. Big shout out to Cecil. Big shout out to Jay Blade. Big shout out to LOLM for those donos, man. Really appreciate them. They mean a lot. It helps out a lot. And we'll definitely catch you. We're going to do a lot more of these. We try to do more Coach Me Coach on latest topics and events. And for those that missed, the Deion Sanders, what I was talking about is the prime effect real, or the prime effect is real. There's going to be a part 2 to that. We'll be coming up here shortly. So make sure you stay tuned to that and everything else. And I need to give one more big round of applause to my nephew out this thing. Let's go, baby. It's his birthday today, y'all. Happy birthday, nephew.
12 and 12 in the building.
Huh?
I said 12 and 12. 12 today,
M12. M12 and V12. M12 and V12. All right. I'm loving it, man. All right. So with all that being said, man, appreciate it. Peace, love, and hair grease 12. I'm about to get this thing, and we about to be up out of here. So with all that being said, Coach Hayes will catch you at the 50-yard line. Peace.